it's Shel with Paper Octio Studio, and today I'm sharing with you my mission inspiration for October. This is Mike Deakin's group over on Facebook, and it is a 10-step prompt art journaling challenge that he has every month. This month, Linda Simpson planned out the page, and I will leave the link to the group below in the description box where it says see more if you would like to go and join this challenge. Of course, I love a good challenge, especially a prompt challenge. This is something that I find extremely fun. So the first prompt was to add black gesso with the baby wipe. So I did that on my Canson mixed media paper that's from a spiral bound notebook. And then the next prompt was to add torn magazine advert fragments. I'm not really even sure what this advertisement was for, but I liked the colored balls that kind of look like candy, like gumdrops or something. This month, the theme of the challenge is Halloween, unless you don't do Halloween. I mean, you can still use these same 10 prompts and do a non-Halloween page because they're general enough. But the page that Mike did and the page that Linda did were both Halloween themed, and I love Halloween. I think it's a great holiday where you get to be, something out of your fantasy, and I see no reason not to do it. I find it completely fun, so I am doing it and gluing on these gumballs from this advertisement. It also has some type of a thing with jewels on it set in the middle, so maybe it was an advertisement for maybe a jeweled purse or something. I don't know. It was from one of those glamour magazine type magazines, but I thought it was perfect to go on this black background, and that's the reason that I picked it, because it would go so well on the black background and just add a lot of visual interest. So what I'm using to glue it down is some glitter glue stuff, which is from DecoArt. It's their Deco Page Medium, which is kind of like a Mod Podge or something like that, but it's got glitter in it, and so I'm wanting to use that. I think glitter looks really great over black. So there was a little accident right there. My phone rang, and the next prompt was to add texture paste through 2 different stencils, which I did. You saw the 2 stencils. You saw me get out the texture paste, which is a crackle paste, and I tinted one of them a lime green color with some acrylic paint, and I put that on, and then I put some on in white. And I guess what had happened, I filmed with my phone, and what had happened is the phone rang, and it was one of those robot calls, and I declined the call, but they left a message anyway, and it put that voicemail message up on the screen, and I didn't notice for a while. Yeah. So anyway, it stopped the phone from recording, and I was unaware of it for a while. So I did do the texture paste. I did put it through the stencil, and then I set it aside to dry. I know that one of the steps is going to be to collage on a focal image, and so I'm working on that while my crackle paste is drying. And this is a little cat in a pumpkin that I drew, and I'm painting it with Kuretake, is that right? The Japanese watercolors. I think it's Kuretake. Anyway, I'll put a link to them down below. They're I got them from Amazon, and they're almost like a gouache. They're pretty opaque. It's almost like they mixed acrylic with watercolor, which is kind of the effect of gouache, but they're still watercolors. They're still water soluble, still reactivate, after they're dry with water. So it's not a permanent solution for mixed media, but I just wanted to watercolor. So I'm using my big fat brush. Remember when I was watercoloring before, we talked about having a brush that can hold a lot of water for watercolor. This isn't watercolor paper, however. This is this mixed media paper that is from the book, and so it is buckling a bit and not as absorbent as a watercolor paper would be, but this is what I drew it on, and then I also wrote my quote on there when I was getting ready for the page. So I'm coloring in my cat and my cat in a witch's hat. It's so cute. And it's going to be a purple witch's hat because I decided to make the cat black because in the quote it talks about black cats. So um, that's what I'm doing. Purple witch's hat with a moon and a star. I I think this is cute in the true spirit of what I think, the kid version of Halloween. Um, we do also think about the Day of the Dead um, here, of course, in Tucson, and our loved ones coming through the veil and visiting us on the thinnest veiled night of the year, supposedly. I do put out food and candles for my past loved ones. Um, I'm not Latino. I'm a very white girl, but I like the idea of that holiday and that tradition of thinking about the people that have passed on in your life and inviting them to come visit if they want. So, Halloween and Dia de los Muertos come at the same time, so people get confused. It's really two different holidays completely. One of them is a cultural holiday, and the other one's just I think just for fun. And candy's good. So anyway, watercoloring. That's what I'm doing. Um, Layering on the watercolors. Then I got it all dried off real quickly, and I'm using my fine tip Posca pen to go around and outline my illustration. Um, I like to do that. I wouldn't have had to do that, but I like to do it. And I'm also going to put in some details with the black. Um, the kitty is watercolored in black, but it's still not black black. It's dark gray with a black tone, but it's not as black as it could be. So I add in some black details over the black, and it still works just fine. If that makes sense, I don't know if it does. It's already been a long day and it's only noon. Time to get some food. Of course, you won't be seeing this till tomorrow, but you get what I'm saying. So all this time the page is drying and the crackle paste is crackling, and I'm hoping to make the crackle show. It's only the second time I've used it, and I really wasn't that satisfied with it the first time. I know that if you dry crackle paste with a heat tool, it makes smaller cracks, and if you let it dry on its own, it makes bigger cracks. So that's the reason that I'm not forcing it to dry. Now I'm using my white Posca pen to add in some highlights and details as well. It's really not that many projects I don't do or that I do where I don't use Posca. Oh my gosh. Today is one of those days where I can't even speak. I know what I meant. Do you know what I meant? Kitty needs some whiskers. I'll get a better white pen. There we go. So hopefully the crackle paste is dry. When I set this aside, I am putting some liquid matte medium using my 2-inch brayer over that to seal it. And then I do that on my quote as well because it's been printed on an inkjet printer. This is a good way to seal up that water-based media so that it won't run when you use it on the mixed media page. So the next step was to add paint or spritz with 2 different colors. So I've got out my DecoArt misters. These are the ones that are permanent when dry. They're not water soluble. I got very frustrated. I cut most of it out. Um, Not working. The paint's not coming out. I'm trying to get them to work. They don't want to work. They don't want to spray. So then I get out a Dilutions one because I wanted to spray lime colored, and it wouldn't work either. I tell you, sprays are frustrating. I guess I'm going to have to take all the parts out of them and like soak them in alcohol or something, or maybe Murphy's oil soap. I don't know. They won't spray. It's annoying. It's very annoying. I wish they could come up with a solution for that. So I ended up spraying the black, which decided to spray, trying to get those crackles on the paste to come through. The next step was to make marks with bubble wrap. So I decided to add in some orange. This is a DecoArts Media Fluid Acrylic, and I just decided to apply it to the bubble wrap with my fingers. And just add in a little bit of orange. You can kind of see that I'm going with a 3-color scheme on this page, and I keep repeating that same 3 colors: purple, lime green, and orange, and of course black as your neutral. Just keep repeating those colors over and over in every element, and that helps my art journal page become cohesive. Because if I put too many different colors on it, you wouldn't be able to see what I was trying to portray. The fun and childishness and cuteness of Halloween. So the next step was to add a focal collage image, and so I fussy cut my kitty cat in a pumpkin out, and then I went around the edges because it is a pretty thick white paper. I went around the edges with a pit brush pen so that the edges wouldn't be white as I glued it down. That helps it be more cohesive with the page. I knew that I wasn't going to be doing shading around the edges to make it blend in because it's already black in the background and there's not really any place to put shadows. So I just did that instead. I covered up all the white edges with a black brush pen. Then the next step was to add a quote or phrase like a ransom note. I didn't want to cut out all the pieces to make a real ransom note, so I used a font on my computer that's called Ransom Note. And then I did each line in a different color: purple, black, orange, and green. And I'm going to apply those with the glitter decoupage again. And while I'm doing that, I'm covering again the rest of the page because now I've used matte medium over my little pieces so that they will not smear. So I need to add glitter over the top of all of them and over the page. So I'm just going over the whole thing again with the glitter decoupage stuff from DecoArts. Because I like shimmery, glittery, sparkly things sometimes, especially at Halloween. I tell you what, if I was wearing a costume, it would have glitter on it. I don't care what it is, a witch or a cat or a ghost or whatever, it's going to have glitter. You can guarantee that. So the next thing is to glue small triangles of pattern paper. So I grabbed a few pieces of paper out of my color boxes. These are jelly prints probably, or roll-off paper from jelly printing. And then I cut them into little squares, cut them in half to make triangles. Again, repeating the color scheme: purple, green, orange. Of course, I had to get them out of 3 different boxes because I have an orange box, a purple box, and a green box. So that took me a minute. Oh, sorry, I had to yawn. So I'm cutting out my triangles by hand. I'm not being very fussy about it. I'm not using a punch or something, just trimming them out by hand. And then I'm going to apply those using the glitter decoupage again. Just kind of in random places to fill out the rest of the page. These prompts came out really cute on my page, I think. Thank you, Linda Simpson, for the prompts this month. Okay, after I gave that a good dry, then I needed to add a border of your choice. So I'm using DecoArt's fluid acrylic in titanium white, and this is a very, very opaque titanium white. Titanium white is often opaque, but this one is really, I don't need to go over it. You know, I can paint it right over that black and it's instantly white. So that's the reason that I'm using this one. And I'm using a filbert brush and just stroking from the page to the background paper and making like these little headstone shapes. They also could be teeth. So I thought they would be a good Halloween border on my page. You also could just say it's a scallop if you want, but it's a pretty easy way to do it using a filbert brush. And then once I gave that a good dry, then I went around each of my little teeth or headstones or scallops, depending on what you think they are, with my black Posca pen, just to give them a little bit more definition. I think this is a perfect border for this page. It brought back in some of the light because it was so dark with all that black. And pretty fun too. It did take me a minute though. This is speeded up to 4 times fast, so you can tell how long it took. 4 times as long as this. This page took me 1 hour and 27 minutes to complete. So that gives you an idea. Then I'm just using my black pen to go around my quote blocks and add like a little scratchy border on those. And then I'm also going to go around the triangles as well with the black pen. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment so I know that you're here. Share. Each one of you that does these things for me is invaluable to my channel. So I hope that you do it and that you don't think it's a waste of time, because it isn't. Trust me, it's not. The final step is to finish with drips or splatters. So I'm going to do that with the orange DecoArt's Media Line spray that won't spray, so I can splatter with it at least. And that will complete my page. And here come your close-ups. Thanks. Bye-bye.